side, we have Shagwais Salah, who is coming from Sudan. He is one of the Yardred authors for 2018. So we have Femi Royal, who is coming from Nigeria. He's one of the authors as well. And we have Fitsum Wole Hannes. And so he's Ethiopian, so he's at home, he's hosting us. Yes, so now we'll be having slight roundup presentations from these authors who have written in Yaujo 2018. So from now, we will get what they wrote about, we'll get tips of what we can do, we'll get what they were thinking when they wrote the paper they wrote. Because I was sure that when we announced the call for paper, what we specifically and expressly stated is the fact that whatever you are bringing up should be relevant to the development of Africa. Their paper was selected. It only shows that their article contributes or will contribute tremendously to the development of Africa. So to begin the presentation, we'll have Femi Royal from Nigeria. Please let's give him a clap ovation.
Hello? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Femi Royal, like is rightly said, and I'm from Nigeria. I founded my family in Africa, and we work with digital agriculture across the continent. As a Yaujo author, I count it a great privilege to present my paper, which was titled Leveraging Technology to Develop Agriculture in Africa. You and I would agree that agriculture has been practiced as the Owen Cutlass model in the past, and even up till now. And that's why it is really difficult for us to meet our growing food needs. And of course, with the growing population, which is rapid, there is a need to boost food production, consequently boosting food security, so that you and I can actually concentrate on development. Because I can assure you that if you have not eaten, it's difficult for you to do critical thinking. Do you agree with me? Yeah, so I'll just do a quick one because I have to leave very soon. So in the past 20 months, especially after writing and publishing this paper, I've gone on to beyond the theoretical analysis put in the paper. I've gone on to practicalize the things that I put that I've written. So in my paper, I've argued that technology will deliver exponential benefits to smallholder farmers in Africa if adopted. And this would definitely be a detour from the traditional model of Owen Cutlass crude farming systems. The very key thing to note, like I was saying earlier, is that Africa has a rapidly growing population, and if food is not produced on a large scale, hunger will persist. And if hunger persists even further, it means that we will continue to have issues with development. So, of course, I might not be able to go into the details of the statistics of hunger. Of course, you and I see the realities. If you look at the pictures, today, Africa is even synonymous to hunger and poverty. Go on Google and type Africa, the kind of pictures that come out as the first set of pictures. You see people who are hungry. But of course, it's not totally true, but it has been a major reality that we've been battling with in the past. So, but then, in more practical terms, there are critical questions that we need to ask ourselves that this paper essentially asks and addresses. And these questions are: how can technology help farmers deal with the realities of climate change? How can farmers make more money selling what they sow and harvest, remembering that high risk in agriculture is not equal to high reward? Climate change is all over, and it's been a major conversation across the globe today. And this does not just affect some set of people, it even affects the farmer the most, because undue weather condition definitely affects production of food, production of different crops. I know Ethiopia is very synonymous to being the largest producer of coffee, But with the climate change situation, there's been a drop in production capacity, and this is not just peculiar to one country; it is across different countries. And of course, even though Africa is not contributing immensely to climate change, we don't burn so much fossil fuel released into the atmosphere, but we actually we are victims. We bear more brunt of the effects of climate change. So, for the purpose of this presentation, there are two tech use cases that I'm going to identify. Although I chronicled much more in my paper, but these two use cases I have been working on it in the past 20 months, and I have seen the effectiveness, and I believe that if it is very much cascaded across the continent, it will deliver us exponential benefit, like I rightly said at the very beginning. So the first key challenge now is that our soils are heavily degraded, and there is depletion in the nutrient, unpredictable weather. All of these things essentially affect vegetables, tomato production across the board. In the past in Nigeria, I used to do something. I used to do tomato business. So I would, from up north, about 20 hours of travel, I would go get tomatoes and bring to the west. And in between the process, I would have lost, if I buy 50 baskets, I would have lost 25 baskets to transport issues, and of course because it will ripen and it will spoil. So, but I've been trying to look at it. Okay, what is the best method for me to grow my own tomatoes, even at my backyard, and still get more profit? This is a critical question that a whole lot of farmers are looking to unravel. But with the new soilless, it's not totally new, but it's nascent in Africa. With the soilless farming technology, it's easy for me as a farmer to grow my vegetables at my backyard. Even in a room like this, I could grow what I'll probably have grown on 10 hectares of land. Maximizing my land, maximizing my water, uses of my land, use of my water, maximizing, not also exposed to weeds that actually compete for light, nutrients, and a whole lot with the plant. So ultimately, what this does for me is that if I embrace soilless technology now as a farmer, I can grow tomatoes. I don't have to go far distance to get tomatoes to sell in the areas where it is needed the most. I can grow them within my immediate environment and get more profit, at least 30%, 50% more profit than I would have ordinarily gotten if I actually bought from somebody. And it's more effective. A lot of farmers have been using this lately, and they've been testifying to its immense benefit. So ultimately, if this is also democratized across different African countries, we are assured that we will be able to grow our vegetables capacity. Another use case for me is that of the use of blockchain in agriculture. Blockchain is a totally new technology in the world. For very many of us, we might not have heard of it, but of course, some people might have heard of it and might not even know what it is. From the word blockchain, it is a digital ledger. So a digital ledger that stores your data and stores it immutably. So whatever is created or stored in a data block of the blockchain is never destroyed. And that sort of creates it creates security. It helps you to engage in a secure transaction. So today, what most people know about blockchain is cryptocurrency, because Bitcoin has been heavily hyped, and everybody wants to know what is Bitcoin. But beyond that, that is in the transaction part of blockchain. In transaction, you're talking about blockchain and other alternative coins like Ethereum and the rest of it. For those who are blockchain enthusiasts, transaction, it fosters transaction between two people without needing a third party. Today, we all use a third party system to engage in financial transaction, and that's why we leverage on banks a whole lot more to verify the trust between the two of us. So if I send money to you, the only person that can confirm to you that I have sent it is who? It's your bank, right? Because that is a trusted partner. But in this case, blockchain is trying to tell us that that system is not necessary. As essentially, we can engage in a peer-to-peer transaction without needing a bank. So we both know when we send money, we both know when we receive the money. Today, if I send you money, the alert comes to your phone. I don't see what is on your phone. I only see what is on my own phone. But in the blockchain system, it is open, it is transparent, it is secure. Now, in the aspect of how it applies to agriculture is in the aspect of asset management. Assets are easily traded, converted to tokens, and traded on the blockchain. And in this case, when we talk about assets in agriculture, we're talking about commodities like coffee in Ethiopia, commodities like rice, like maize, like soya beans and sorghum. All of these commodities, we are able to trade them. We trade them on the export market, we trade them locally in our different countries. But today, like I said at the very beginning, high risk for farmers does not equal high reward. And at harvest, if a typical farmer wants to sell, at that time when it just harvests, there are a lot of sellers, so there are very few buyers. So price gets depressed. So our major use case of blockchain technology in this case is issuing, trading, and financing agricultural commodities on the blockchain. So I'll just explain it in 1 minute. When you say issuing and trading, for example, today most farmers depend on intervention funding from the government a lot of times because they need funding, but banks are telling them that they are very risky, so they cannot fund them at a commercial scale because they are not assured of, based on climate change sometimes, they are not assured they will be able to get all their output and get all their returns on investment. So intervention fund is what government pours into agriculture to help them to go on. But government bureaucracy is a challenge. So, and agriculture depends on time. So sometimes when the money comes, they are already done with planting season, and it makes the whole thing null and void. So, but in this case, farmers can bring their commodities to our warehouse. I'm giving you a case study of how we are using blockchain to deal with agricultural issues. So farmers can come up with their commodities from when they have harvested it, bring it to accredited warehouses. That way, they are dealing with post-harvest loss, which is also a critical challenge. And then when they store it, they can use the warehouse receipt that is issued to them at the warehouse as a collateral to get commercial loans from the banks. And so banks are not, they are sure that they have something to give to them when they need money. So ultimately, what this does for farmers is that it helps them to access finance, good level of financing for next harvest. And when they store their commodities in the warehouses, for example, they don't get to decide to just sell at harvest, because a lot of them have to sell because they cannot store. So if they sell at any price that you want to pay. But in this case, if they save it in the warehouse, they are sure that by the time it's even off season, when they can negotiate better and have high bargaining power, they can make more money from it. And they are not also worried that they don't have money to produce for the next season. I don't know if you get it. So in that case, we're solving critical issues around lending. We're solving critical issues around trading. Trading in this case is, you can make more money as a farmer when you have saved your commodities after harvest, not forced to sell during harvest because you don't have a storage facility. So ultimately, there are a lot of use cases of of technology in agriculture, ICTs. At the moment, we are testing the use of drones in Nigeria. We're also testing the use of digital media. We're testing the use of boats, the use of a whole lot of information communication technologies that can help farmers access critical climate information, critical market information, market data, weather information, and all the necessary information that will help them to, grow to practice precision agriculture, so that they're able to manage the little resources that they have to get maximum output. So this is like I said earlier, this is a detour from traditional model. And if we have to feed Africa, we have to consider growing to scale. Why? Because the population is rising. So as the population grows, there has to be more food circulating in the system for people to live. And if we don't embrace technologies that can empower us to grow to more scale, then we will suffer hunger heavily. And ultimately, in another angle, we have to add value to all of these things that we are growing, such that they are being able to get preserved, and also whoever is engaging in it can get more money from it. A lot of young people have looked at agriculture in the past as something for the old and for the rural people. But every time I go to places and I tell them I'm a farmer, a lot of them are quite amazed. Why? Because they feel, what are you looking for in agriculture? What are you looking for as a farmer? But the good reality in this is the fact that youth unemployment, which is growing immensely every year, can be cut back, can be helped, can be reduced heavily by youth profitably engaging in agriculture. And one key way for them to engage is in the use of technology, to practice agriculture in ways like this that I've talked about. We are doing so much in training students and young people in Nigeria on use of blockchain technology to trade agricultural commodities, use of soilless technology to grow vegetables, tomatoes, and some of these perishables, such that they're able to make more money for themselves, and other use cases of technology in agriculture. And we are believing that if this is embraced across the different countries in Africa, we'll be able to grow food to a large extent. And as I close this short presentation, I'm convinced beyond reasonable doubt that a major investment in Agritech, coupled with increasing adoption, will not only boost food security, but it will help us to capitalize on the opportunities of the export market. Ultimately, our continent's economy will be improved and the livelihood of most citizens will be upgraded. Finally, we need to ask ourselves if we would rather learn new tricks or continue to remain a poor old dog. It's our choice to make. Thank you very much.